Welcome back, Rainmakers, to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Murph, and today we're going to cover a really important topic. Because I know many of you are out there trying to swing trade or even short-term trade. So I want to cover some things because I would love to see everyone making better trades. Now, do keep in mind, none of this is financial advice. Not a financial advisor. I'm just a crypto investor myself. These are how I make my decisions. As to how you make your decisions, really, it's up to you. But let's go ahead and get this party started. Join me, Rainmakers. Alright, so is it fair to say that we're here not only because we like the technology, which the technology is amazing and will change the world, but we're also looking to maybe change our financial situation, hopefully for the better. Though it can go for the worse if you're trading on leverage. And it can go for the worse if you don't take profits at a good point. So these videos are not about trading on leverage today, not this video. And in fact, I don't recommend it at all until you've been trading successfully for a long amount of time. Secondly, we will be talking other days about taking profits at the appropriate time. This is about good entry points. And so there's a lot of people that like to day trade. That's not me and that's not my style. There are other people you can follow that are more day traders. What I like is good entry points on mostly medium to longer term holds, and some of my portfolio I keep available for short-term swing trades. And we're going to talk about good entry points today because that's a critical point. So let's go ahead and get rolling. I do have pulled up here, share this with you. E-Gold, all right, yep, so we're on the same page here. Now, this is one I covered, the breakout the other day, and hopefully you were able to catch that video because it was trading around $140-something, and we were talking about this breakout right as it happened here, and I did make some entries, and it went up and it retested. I made some more entries, and I was making some entries prior to this down along this line. But it did a clear breakout here and then came back and retested. It came back and retested one more time before then going higher. So let me ask you, watching this, is this a potential good entry point? Well, I don't know, why don't we chart it out and see. So we have this previous chart of what was trading. It's now broken out. It's not a terrible entry point. It's not like it's 5x over where this breakout point was. So let's kind of rate it, right, on where we think it is as far as an overall entry point. Let's take it up. So it just broke through its previous high that it hit. And we need to go to the left to really understand what's going on here. And we're going to get what's called a horizontal ray. And we're going to look to the left at some major structure points. So I see one there at 166. We see one here. Let me make sure you're seeing this screen as good as possible. Wow, wouldn't you know, it's testing and hitting, struggling right at this point at the 188 mark. Seems to have broken through at least temporarily. Now we are just on the 1 hour timeline. It's going to probably hit another point up here, which it might struggle with, somewhere around there. And because that's its previous all-time high that it hit all the way, what's that, 2 months ago. So we're good. We're still below where it was 2 months ago. And let me just draw a fib retracement on where it was before. So on this rise to here, it's 38.2 is down here at the 155 price, which was a really good price. And we're up above this. It looks like we're at 190 right now. So is it a terrible price? No. Is it a great price? No. This was a great price back here. But we're just going to go through several today, and we're just going to look at them and see what kind of entry price it is. Now, if you're planning to hold this for 6 months, does it matter if you get it at, say, 190 over you could have bought it before at 145? Obviously, 145 would be preferable, but that's not a huge difference over a 6-month time frame if your expectations are that this is going to 6x or 10x or 12x. And so is it bad for like a short-term swing trade? Well, it's risky. It could push up from here and do well in the short term. In the longer term, in the middle of a bull market, my guess for myself is that it's going to do quite well. So Chainlink, let's look at Chainlink because this is a big one. And I don't have any structure lines on this right now. So why don't we go ahead and chart it out. And let's just see what kind of history we're looking at with this. Let's see kind of where these lines are matching up. So it looks like recently it's broken out from that pattern at least. And then it came up and then retested, bounced off, and is running higher. Okay. So overall, let's look on the daily. It's not as good of a deal as it was back here. But my guess is the blue chips they've been trading sideways for a while, since mid-February. A lot of the attention went into gaming and NFT related tokens, and now those are cooling while the blue chips seem to be taking some momentum upwards. That's what they've been doing, and that's what we're seeing here. Will they continue? My guess is they will. So overall, we are seeing a nice W pattern here too, right? Remember on the W, and if you notice, this is lower than this, so the low was higher this time, and so that's a good trend. And then at the end of the W, what's funny is it tends to come down about equal to here before then bouncing up, and it followed that perfectly. Sometimes from here it still kind of retests and then goes up, but sometimes it then just shoots up and goes crazy. How will this play out? I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know. That's just a guess at some things that it could do. Is it a pretty good deal at $33? Yeah, I mean, this is a blue chip, so it's not likely to 20 or 100x from here, but during this bull run, it's possible that it does quite well from here. I mean, to look overall, we'd have to go to CoinGecko and look at what the market cap's at on Chainlink. That gives us our best indicator of where it could go. Okay, so it's at a 14 billion market cap. So the question is, can it 10x from here and hit 140 billion? It's possible. Is it likely? Might even be likely. So could it go 100x from here? Not likely at all. Do keep in mind with Chainlink that there are a lot of big investors who hold the majority of Link. And when they start dumping, they can wipe you out because they can afford, they've been buying since it was dirt cheap. So they can sell at any price. They could sell at this and they would make a fortune. So do keep that in mind when looking at Chainlink. Let's go on to the next one. Now, we'll cover WAN later. I want to look at Atom here. Now, Atom's a good one. Their SDK on the Cosmos SDK, really good platform. They're getting a lot of adoption, and so I like this one. If you look closely at this, we're kind of doing a W pattern here, right? And so what happens at the W pattern? Likely it'll come down. In fact, you know, often this side sometimes will break out higher. We haven't seen it yet. It might do this where it breaks out here, and then it comes back and retests this. So let me rewind this. So this, if it breaks through there and then retests and starts going up, this would be a clear indication of a breakout. Let's look at what their market cap looks like. Okay, so 5 billion, where could they go? Is it possible that they could 10x from here? There were a lot of projects that hit like a 50 billion market cap if they were like a blue chip last time. Not a whole lot, but a few hit around that point. And so is it possible that they do? Yeah, they're definitely a blue chip this time around, so that's possible. Could they hit 100x from here? Eesh. I don't think so. That's my guess. All right, so let's look at another blue chip. This is Cardano, and let's just see, are these good entry points? So Atom might be, right? Atom, now, it's not as good along the top of this trend line as it is like on the lower half of this. So if you're really lucky, maybe it will come down and do this. Or if you see it break out and then bounce and stuff, it's not like that's a terrible entry point. It's a lot better than up here or up here, right? So these are just kind of identifying good entry points. One of the keys to really doing well is being patient and not trying to force things. When we're most tempted to buy is actually right here. When is the worst time to buy? Right here. And the reason is we're seeing this and we're like, oh my gosh, and everybody's then talking about Cosmos then, or Atom, and then you feel all this pressure and this, oh my gosh, what if it just keeps going up? But guess what doesn't happen? It doesn't keep going up. It just then starts trading sideways. And so when I see large green candles, especially if you go on the daily time frame, well, you'll see these large green candles. That tells me, hey, just be patient and wait. Wait. Okay, I missed it. If I wasn't in Cosmos, and which I wasn't, and I see this kind of thing, I say, okay, just wait. That's fine. You know, and maybe it was down here and I feel like, oh, I have to wait. And you know what? This is a lot better buy than this, but you don't know when these long green candles are going to end. So you're better off just waiting till there's some recognizable patterns that you can then use. If you missed entering it down here at this long rounded bottom, right? This is an amazing long rounded bottom. And it probably looked like it was going to break out here because you see this nice W? You got the higher low here. And guess what didn't happen? It then took another swing down. But guess what happened after that? Womp. Yeah. So sometimes don't get disheartened if you buy, because I've made entries like this where I'm like, okay, and then it goes down a little bit and I enter right here. And then it goes even further down, and I know you kick yourself. You're like, crud, I could have bought it so much cheaper here. Well, you really did pretty good if you bought here at $5.90, and maybe you didn't know where the top is, and maybe you took some profits at 20 or at 18. You did phenomenally. If you were really lucky, you took profits even higher. Or maybe even you're still holding it and you're doing really, really well on it, right? So this is all about good entries today, because I know in the chat, if you follow the Telegram, I do try to pop in there when I can. And I've had a lot of questions about, is this a good time to buy? And if I've got time, I'll share that with you. I do like it. You really need to share with me what you like about the project. Don't just shoot me a ticker symbol. I don't have time for that. Like, if you're going to ask me to look at something, I need you to look deeply at it, right? So I want you to look at the ticker symbol. I want you to look at the fundamentals. And I want you to look at the chart and tell me what you think. And you're way more likely to get a response from me with that. All right, because this isn't just about like providing day-to-day information. I'm definitely not your financial advisor, but I am here with you to share with you exactly how I think that has made my portfolio grow tremendously, so that hopefully your portfolio grows tremendously, understanding these same principles, right? Because it's these principles that lead to better decisions. All right, so we're looking at Cardano here, and Cardano, is this a good entry point? Where are we, $1.26? Well, it's not bad, right? In this overall pattern that's following, it's close to the midline. It's a little bit on the higher side of the midline. But you can see this little W going on here. We don't know what will happen. If it gets up to here, it's going to test this trend line and maybe break through, maybe then come back in. We don't know. So is Cardano a good buy? It's not a terrible buy. It's definitely not like buying, you know, that you just had this huge run up here and then bought. And remember, this was the big news about the Coinbase listing, so that's already been done. And it's been trading sideways since, when is that, 27th of February? So month and a half. It probably has more sideways trading to go, is my guess. That's going to trade some more in here. So if you're looking to add to your Cardano positions, you know, what I do is I'm like, when it hits around this, then I just add more. And then if I get so lucky, some people get totally disheartened if it comes down below. Should I get so lucky, even though I'm really heavy on Cardano, would I buy more? Should I get so lucky if it comes down to $1.03? Yeah, I would, absolutely. All right, on to Polkadot. And we talked about the Polkadot breakout. Let me chart that out. And Polkadot has definitely broken out, right? So you guys hopefully caught that from the channel. And it broke out, and now it's trading above. So it did bust through, and now it's hit some resistance here, and it's created its own little pattern. Now, it's a lot easier to be patient when you diversify your portfolio across many. And I know it's frustrating when you're fairly new and your portfolio isn't more than, say, a few $100s or a few $1,000s. And you're right, when it's a few $100s, it's hard to diversify. When it's a few $1,000s, it's much easier to start diversifying. When it's tens of thousands of dollars, much easier. And when it's in the millions, it's really easy, right, to diversify. But you know, diversity helps you be patient, which is critical to doing well in cryptocurrency. Patience is everything. So let's look at this. Is this a pretty good trade within this line, with it trading right along the lower end of this trend line? Yes. Is there any guarantees that it won't then go like this and even come back in here and trade? No guarantees in crypto whatsoever. It could. That's why you don't throw everything in at this point. You see this, you can put some in. You see then it goes sideways. If you're a fan of DOT, and I am a fan of Polkadot, and you see it come down, that's when you're like, ooh, my gosh, and you look at your portfolio and see what might be at a really good sell position, sell some of that and make some additional entries at that price, because tons of people would kill for a $35 Polkadot price. Maybe the whole market comes down and you have some more fiat sitting on the side, and then it comes back to this lower trend line. Wouldn't that be amazing? You get more at $28. Yeah, you could feel bad about, shoot, I could have gotten so much more here. And I know those pressures. I was new at this 4 years ago, and I felt all those same pressures too. And I didn't have a lot to put in back then, you know. I was starting out much like you, and like many of you, I didn't come from a rich family. I've had to work hard for everything that I have, and it's not that my parents weren't great parents. They were fantastic parents. Just they had a lot of kids, and had to go back to school to get some further education while having 4 kids, which accumulates a lot of student debt. And you know, got hired during a recession, wasn't making a whole lot, and set a pattern. So like, we grew up pretty poor, and you know, the best thing my parents could do was at least share with me some love and share with me some good principles. But a lot of this I just learned from successful people, particularly successful investors in any sphere, whether it was real estate, it was stocks, it was other things. A lot of these same principles apply, especially the principle of patience. All right. So what else can we talk about? Let me share with you overall Bitcoin dominance, and then I'm going to save some gems for you. All right. So let's look at Bitcoin dominance, overall what's going on. Now, just realize at some point, Bitcoin probably will take a run and probably will outperform everything else. So if you're familiar with Bitcoin dominance, as Bitcoin dominance falls this way, which is what it's doing, it's because the altcoins are running as compared to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin dominance is the dominance of Bitcoin's market cap versus the altcoin's market cap. And Bitcoin dominance has continued to fall. Now, that doesn't mean at some point it doesn't start going sideways like this, which could mean that Bitcoin's price is increasing, because Bitcoin's due for a run soon. It's been trading sideways for a long time. And the question is whether Bitcoin will run harder than the altcoins or not, because they're also due for a run, the blue chip altcoins. And so if they run at about the same pace, that would take this graph kind of going sideways. Now, if Bitcoin really zooms compared to anything, you will see this Bitcoin dominance climb. And at some point, here's what really happens. You see this happening, and then you're tempted to then sell all your altcoins and jump into Bitcoin, which, who knows if this continues. It will not likely continue up very high. If it does, and you see it right here, and you jump in, my guess is you'll later regret it, because what then might happen is something like this, and you will lose massive amounts of economic loss, which meant your money was changed hands into Bitcoin, while the altcoins then just way ran compared to Bitcoin. And then you're looking at how much money you would have made versus you did make by selling all your alts and rolling into Bitcoin. And I see this happen every single time. So it is really nice if you can identify when Bitcoin is going to take off, if you know it's going to take off strong to the alts, and you're right on that prediction, you sell into Bitcoin, and then it goes like this on the charts. That's a really nice position to be. What often happens is it does sometimes make a run like this, and I don't know if this is coming. I don't know at all. Bitcoin's due for a run, but so are the large cap altcoins, and so if I do see Bitcoin run, and I'm holding low amounts of Bitcoin relative to most of my stuff is in alts right now, either blue chip alts or even in more risky alts. And so if this happens, that's okay. I'm not going to chase that. That's fine, because then what will happen, it will build up some more momentum, and then something like this likely will happen. And when this happens, man, those alts are the best place to be. And I'm excited about that. So Want to share with you two gems because always asking, where can my portfolio do the best? And I don't have a crystal ball. I just pretty good guesser, but it's just my best guesses using the way I break things down and intuition for myself. And one of my subscribers in the Telegram chat was asking me to look at Dragon, but I'm very familiar with Dragon already. I've followed Dragon for a long time. In fact, Dragon's made me some really good money. I did not buy into it back here. I didn't start swing trading Dragon until it was down here. And actually during crypto winter, Dragon was really good to me. I would buy it any time it hit really cheap, and I would sell it any time it doubled and tripled. And I was able to make several swings on that, and it was a lot of fun and made some money during a very boring time in the market. It was also a very good time to buy because you could have bought Dragonchain back then at 6 cents, and it's currently trading at 32 cents. So 5x from there. Do I think Dragon has more room to run? I suspect so. Now, I don't hold a ton of Dragon. I just hold some Dragon. I put in a low amount back here. In fact, if we get close, I'll show you exactly what happened back here because Dragon once again made me a bunch of money. I loaded up on it here, and when this happened, I sold off, made $30,000 or $40,000. It was nice. And then I loaded up a little bit more on it here, but never even the same amount that I sold here because I rolled that into other things. But I did buy some more when it was this cheap, and I was like, yeah, that's probably as cheap as it's going to get. And so it has been climbing from there. So how much has it climbed? Well, let's look at the current circulating supply versus the max supply. So much of its supply is in circulation. Its market cap 120 million. So not bad, especially not bad compared to what the fully diluted market cap is. They're actually pretty close to each other. So I like that. What is Dragonchain on a fundamental level? Well, it's a chain that was started many years ago by Disney, which then they decide, you know what, we want to separate that. We want it to be its own entity. We don't want it tied to the Disney name. In fact, we don't even want ownership of it. And so it was split off. And so there isn't any ties to Disney anymore. There might have been or was at some time. There isn't now, and they're very clear on that. Now, it's got some social media component of it, that it's going to be like a social media platform. It's a little bit unclear. I've listened to the founder a couple times. I've never spoken to him directly. This is just one that I've traded mostly on. I like some of the underlying fundamentals as long as the price is cheap, and that I've just mostly been chart trading. So it's like I feel strong enough that their vision could come to fruition and do very well, and so then I've mostly been chart trading this one. And do I think it's good buy at this? Well, let's look at it. I don't know if it'll let us chart it out, but if it will, let's chart it out. All right, Dragonchain versus, I want to trade it versus US dollar. Wow, okay, so those are some big candles overall. Is this a good buy right now? Well, no. It could keep going up from here, but remember what we said. We're on the daily here. So let's get on the hourly low. Okay. On the hourly, maybe. Let's look at what we're looking at. All the way from there up to here. So where are good buy zones from this? Overall, we're seeing this kind of trend line. And it's respecting that pretty well, which is interesting. And so it's near the lower end of this trend line. Not a terrible buy. Just know it could do this. This is not a great price where you know, okay, I'm going to short-term hold this. This is more, if I were buying at this level, a medium or longer term. So anywhere from 2 months to 5 months hold. And if I were planning to hold this for that period, I would be fine with buying it here. Now, just to know, it could, because it's hitting this resistance line here, and then it could come down here, creating even better buys. It could even come down to this level, bounce off. If you're really unlucky, it could come down here. Now, when I say unlucky, you're actually really lucky, because if you're following it and you see it come down that level, probably a good buy zone unless there's some disastrous news that tells you this project is going to die. Now, to really analyze it really good, it won't give us that information. Darn it. I was hoping to go really far left on this. Okay, DRGN, and what I would love is to find it on a somewhere it's been for a long time. Now, you can probably find it versus Bitcoin, and so this isn't quite going to be the same, and it's hard to tell versus Bitcoin. So versus Bitcoin, it looks really, really attractive. In fact, the charts are pretty good. So will this run versus Bitcoin? Well, when alt season goes crazy, most every alt runs versus Bitcoin. So just know historically, it's been way, way higher in Satoshis than it is now. Does that mean it's going to have such a large pump? Well, back then there was a lot of press stories or a lot of YouTube videos by different personalities on, oh, Dragonchain is somehow associated with Disney, and if Disney's involved, it's going to do tremendous, and that's part of the reason its price went so crazy last cycle. Remember also, last cycle, Bitcoin's price was a lot lower than it is today. So could it hit some big numbers here? Well, who knows? Who knows that it will really hit? I would be shocked if it hit the same Satoshi value that it did last cycle. So the bigger question is, can it hit kind of the US prices that it hit before? And we're going to look at max here. And so it hit over $5 before. And so when we're looking at that as 32 cents, pretty good. Well, if it hit just above where it hit last time, that's still a 20x. That's pretty good. Now, if it really hits some traction and goes a lot farther than that, well, then it could be a 40x or a 60x, etc. So there aren't a ton of established projects that haven't already run tons where there's plenty of room left for them to grow. So when you really, really made the money was buying in 2018 and 2019 in particular, in some cases 2020, and holding to today, that many of those things have gone 80, 100, 120x. There aren't tons of things left that can still pull off 100x in my opinion, but there's a few. And could this do that? Well, where would it need to go in order to hit 100x? Now, do notice what it says the market cap is here is very different from what it shows as the market cap here. Just notice that coin market cap is showing a lot more of the supply in circulation. So it's saying its market cap is here. So could it go 100x from here? Where would that take its market cap? It would take it to from 120 million to 1.2 billion for a 10x. So to 12 billion for 100x. Is it possible? It's possible. Is it probable? Maybe. Maybe. Really, I haven't heard from the team in a long while on anything. That could be good or bad news. Sometimes they just put their heads down and they're just work. And by the time you hear about anything, it's because they have so many announcements coming out, and then it shoots up tremendously and you kick yourself for not having bought, right? So, if anybody from the Dragonchain team is hearing this, I would love to speak to you. Would love an update. I would love to hear what's going on behind the scenes. Absolutely reach out to me. I'm all ears. I want to hear what's going on with the project, good, bad, ugly, everything, because I've been a fan of your project for a long time and would love to know more directly. All right, the other one that I still like the price on is Wanchain. Now, is Wanchain as good of a buy as when I started talking about it, 30 cents? No. Is it still a good buy? In my opinion, yes. I just bought a whole bunch more, actually above this price. And so am I mad that it retraced? Not at all. In fact, if it comes down even just a little bit more, then I'm going to pick up even more. So here's what happened is they announced a really big announcement, which they got a deal with the State Energy Grid Company of China, essentially the Chinese electrical grid energy company that runs all the electricity for the country of China, the largest country in the world as far as infrastructure. And so that is a really big deal. And what's funny is that it only pumped a little from that. Why? Because Wanchain is off a lot of people's radar. And some people think that that's a bad thing. I tend to think that's a good thing because this team from the beginning has been a really sharp team. They've done a lot of great things. In fact, when they ICO'd, it was one of the best promoted or most anticipated ICOs of the last cycle. And it was so oversubscribed. There were so many more people that wanted Wanchain than were able to get in. And so when it finally came out on the market, it popped all the way to almost $10. and then retraced tremendously during the crypto winter like everything else did, and many people have not come back and revisited it. It's the same team as it was before. They're way farther ahead in their technology. In fact, a lot of their stuff they're rolling out is amazing, and guess what? Just because they're not hearing about it every day, unless they're following my channel, but what, we have a reach of about 10,000 subscribers. My channel is fairly new. I've only been doing this for 4 months, so we don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. There's lots going on fundamentally that I like, and so if you think that it's a bad thing that it's underpriced, I don't see it that way, because when fundamentally things are sound, what often happens is the publicity and momentum come later. I like to buy when things are going good here. Also, if you remember, I was talking to you about this whole, they have the WAN swap site, which is good, and the same developers behind that are working on a sister site that's coming close to being ready. And I got to look at the test on it, and it's really cool what they put together. And it's got some NFTs that you can get, these NFT boxes, which then you can get some different NFTs out of that can amplify your returns. So there's some gamification of it that makes it kind of fun. It's not quite the same as like Farmville with all the animations and stuff on your phone, which would be amazing if they could take a Farmville and make you actually put real crypto in and get real returns out. That'd be amazing. It's not that gamified, but it's a lot more gamified than anything we're looking at. And so it just kind of makes it fun. Now, some people consider those things silly, and that's okay. We'll leave it to that space. And I talk about like NFTs, like NBA Top Shots, and sometimes I talk about NFTs like VV, the VV app and the Akomi token, and that's okay. Some people, for them, that's not their thing, and that's cool. I love those things because my NBA Top Shots went 150x from the $1,100 that I put into it. That's great. I'm just an investor. I'm always asking myself what kind of things can make me the most gains. And so even if Wanchain didn't have WAN and then this sister site coming with it, it'd still be a good deal. I just like those things additional to this because it's a great way to earn some additional yield with your Wanchain. All right, guys, if you stayed all the way to the end, I do thank you. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you like the video. It does help us grow our reach overall, because I am trying to grow this reach because it puts me in touch with better and better, well, I wouldn't say necessarily better projects, but all the projects. And I would love to speak with all the projects and get to know them on a first name basis and have their phone number so I can bring you better information. And so every time you like one of my videos, it helps me with that. If you haven't subscribed, love it if you subscribe because it helps me with that. And then I in turn can bring you better information because I look at everything from the investment standpoint and what can this possibly do for my portfolio from an investment standpoint. And I share with you why I make the decisions for my own portfolio that I do. Not to tell you what to do in yours because I'm not a financial advisor, but just to share with you why and how I'm making the decision I do in hopes that that helps you in some way. So I do want to thank all of you for joining me. And I'm going to leave you with our song from Manuel from Argentina. All right, thanks.
Success is falling, flowing like rain. The timing's right, we're getting paid. Come on, Rainmakers, let's make this happen.